Hi guys, Freddy here, welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. Now, recently I've been focusing on Dungeons & Dragons because, as I mentioned in my last couple of videos, I've started dungeon mastering again after a break of 30 plus years. So my attention's been back on Dungeons & Dragons and I thought I'd work my way through the collection. Now, before I move on to 3rd edition, I would like to present something else for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which are these, the complete books. Now, I've got 6 of them here. I believe there were about 26 of them in total, which I didn't get. I think I've got a few more than this, but these were the ones I could easily put my hands on. So we've got the Complete Fighters book, Complete Book of Elves, Complete Book of Humanoids, Complete Psionics Handbook, Complete Rangers Handbook, and Complete Book of Dwarves. Well, I'm going to put 4 of these aside because only 2 of these I would like to focus on. Now, the complete books were brought out in the early 90s to basically flesh out the species and classes, because in the core rules they didn't really go into many details. You know, you had a fighter and that was it. You could flesh it out a bit with non-weapon proficiencies, you could customize it by being a different species, but one fighter at 15th level was going to be very much the same as another fighter. So they brought out the Complete Fighter's Handbook to flesh that out, and the same with races. Although we all know there are various types of dwarves and elves, none of them were covered in the rules. There was just single types of dwarves and elves, so they brought out the complete books to flesh them out. So I'll put the Book of Elves to the side for the moment. We'll see it peeking in the top corner there. We'll go through the Fighters book. Now, first of all, I'd like to draw attention to the nice cover. Not only do we have sort of gold writing on there, a deep red leathery effect, even there's texture in the grain. It's a very heavy, thick, difficult to tear cover, inside and out, because if I flick inside you can see it's very plasticky, it's very strong. But on the back cover, not only is it this effect, but the back label is a label, it's stuck on. But let's deal with the back cover. So, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition Player's Handbook Rules Supplement, the Complete Fighter's Handbook. Who says fighters are the poor cousins of the AD&D game? No one will say it aloud after reading the Complete Fighter's Handbook. 128 pages of mind-expanding advice how to make your fighter the leanest, meanest threshing machine for leagues around. New weapons, new proficiencies, new fighting styles, and fighter kits make this optional AD&D accessory a useful item for players and DMs. Now, opening up, we can see that the presentation is the reliable TSR quality. It's black and white within. I believe there's a few color plates in here, but it's mainly just black and white presentation, but nice black and white artwork and easy to read text. This one came out in May 1992. So what the Complete Fighter's Handbook aims to do is take you through character creation and different ways that you can create a fighter. So we've got costs of manufacturing armor, so you can customize your armor here. Chances of failing that. Added expenses, repairing armor, repairing magical armor. And we go into details here of what you can actually specialize a bit in creating your fighter. And keep going through. Now we come to one of the major things here, kits. Now these were an addition to a character class which would specialize it slightly. Probably easiest if I go on to one. So we have the Amazon here. Amazons are women warriors in a male-dominated world. Their civilization might have been created by a deity who likes women warriors, or they might have been women who rebelled from male dominations and decided to rule themselves. And it goes through some background about them, it goes their role in their society, it goes what secondary skills they should have, weapon proficiencies, non-weapon proficiencies, what equipment, and then the special benefits they get. And these can be simple things, or they can be quite complex extra set of rules to customize. Special hindrances. They suffer a -3 reaction roll adjustment for NPCs who are from male-dominated societies. Their wealth, their races, going through, gnome Amazons, halfling Amazons. And then we've got onto Barbarian. So they took the old classes which people were calling for from first edition and they brought them into second edition through kits. So here we've got the Barbarian, which is a modified fighter. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Assassin became a modified thief, etc., etc. So the Barbarian doesn't get the rage, I don't believe. Nope. Special benefits. They get a +3 reaction adjustment in certain circumstances. Modifiers. It's a charisma modifier, really. That's all they get. Special hindrances. Wealth options. Watch races, so you can have dwarf barbarians if you want. And that's it. Beast riders, obviously, they get riding abilities. We've got berserkers. They must have an ability, strength of 15. Do they actually get the ability to go berserk? At any time, the berserker may choose to go berserk. This isn't an instantaneous process. He must spend a little time to psych himself up. It takes a full turn, 10 combat rounds to go berserk. What benefits does it give, though? He is immune. No saving throws necessary to the wizard spells Charm Person, Friends, Hypnotism, Sleep, Irritation, Rave, Enfeeblement, Scare, Guess. Clerical spells Command, Charm Person or Mammal, Enthrall, Cloak of Bravery, and Symbol. +4 against save against wizard spells, Blindness, Tasha's Uncontrollable, Hideous Laughter, Hold Person, Charm Monster, and Confusion. Motion spell has no effect. Offers no protection from Finger of Death, except the spell effects do not place until the character has come out of Berserk, so they keep fighting. They're immune to KO results with the punching and wrestling rules. So it's a washed out version of the Berserker or the Barbarian out of earlier or later editions. Cavalier, another first edition class being brought across as a kit. Gladiators, which obviously are far more suited to Dark Sun. In fact, I remember many characters being a gladiator, so choosing the character class gladiator out of Dark Sun and then the kit gladiator to get extra bonuses. Myrmidon, noble warrior, where you can be somebody classy. A peasant hero. Pirate, samurai, savage, swashbuckler, and then wilderness warriors, the last one. Which, really, the wilderness warrior only gives you a +5 to survival proficiencies. But that's a free +5 bonus. Basically, the hindrances, you're occasionally hindered by unfamiliarity with the player character's society. But this is a role-playing situation, so not a massive disadvantage. Details dual class characters, abandoning kits, creating new ones. It goes into different types of personalities, you know, whether you're a doomed champion or a dangerous antagonist, a sneaky thinker. Discusses an all-warrior campaign. One warrior type, so campaigns for just particular kits. So if you want to have a barbarian only campaign, it goes through all that. Doesn't detail an all wilderness warrior campaign. Good guys, outlaws, and pirates. Oh, there's the wilderness warriors. Sorry, I was wrong. Campaign versus miniseries, new combat rules, and has tight groups. So not only can you be proficient in bows, you can get specialization in composite longbow, composite short bow, etc. So it's taking fighting into more specialized regions. We've got fighting styles, introducing those which are now quite common in 5th edition, where you single weapon style, your two-handed style, weapon and shield style, and two-weapon style. These were proficiencies you could take to gain those abilities. What else do we have? So we've got fighting things here, pin, full trip, various types of wrestling and attack moves, surprise thrust, specializing in martial arts, cord shots in wrestling. So just lots of detail of extra combat rules to make combat far more interesting in 2nd edition than just roll to hit. Different tactics, different attacks you can call, dancing and socializing. Really going into everything here. We're going to weapons, where you can get lots of different types, which weren't detailed in the player's handbook. Oh, I thought there were colour plates in here. Is she trying to steal his nose ring, or is she just torturing him by pulling it? And more details of different equipments and weapons, ways you can use them, so to break other people's weapons. We go into types of armour. One of the things this book introduced was the ability to wear piecemeal armour. So if you were wearing leather armour with a breastplate, you would get bonus armour class. You didn't have to wear full plate mail. You could be wandering around just wearing a piece of armour over another type of armour and get benefits for it. There's the piecemeal armour that I was just discussing. Damage to armour, damage points, magical items, some new ones for your campaign. And then we're on to sort of tables with the different weapons types and alternative character sheets to include all of this stuff. And that's the fighter's book. And because I was playing an elf ranger at the time, so the fighter's book was fairly applicable for me. And I was an elf, so the elf book was very applicable. Let's see the back cover of this. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition Player's Handbook Rules Supplement. They've laid it out slightly different from this one. The complete book of elves. The glorious world of the elven kind shines from these pages. Detailed herein are their societies, rituals and myths, and their physiology and psychology. Descriptions of every kind of elf abound. Rounding out this information are 11 new kits, new optional rules and suggestions for running elven campaigns, and special elven equipment, spells and magical items. Forget what you thought you knew about elves. Complete book of elves shelves new light on this mysterious race. When did this one come out? Let's have a look. The pages are sticky. I promise that's for no particular reason. Nice colour plate, dark sun. Oh, this is so old the spine is starting to break. Do we have a copyright date on this? I do not see a copyright date. These all came around the early 90s, 92, but I don't see the exact date on this. So, AD&D Game Elf, other complete handbooks, details how this might interact with them. It goes through history of how the elves were created in the world, the different trees of creation of elves, the sub-races. Now, I find it a bit weirdly laid out because we go through sections where we have like elven sub-races by height. So you've got the height section and it details all of them. And then you've got some information on the elves and then you go away from them and you come back several times. So we've got the different sub-races. We've got aquatic elves, we've got drow elves, we've got grey elves, we've got high elves, and we've got sylvan elves. So we get their heights and their weights first of all. Then we go into some background information. So aquatic elves are, funnily enough, elves that live under the sea. We've got the dark elves, the underground evil elves, which are very much different from the Drow Handbook, Drow of the Underdark, I think it was called, which laid them out first of all. But I will admit they were a bit overly powerful, and these are a bit less powerful. Less so than every other type of elf in the book. But we've got the dark elves, we've got grey elves, high elves, sylvan elves. Half elves, we detail those as well. Elves of the World, so we've got Al-Qadim telling us a bit about those. We've got the Dark Sun campaign. We've got Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms. Greyhawk, Ravenloft, Spelljammer. Again, the sort of elf tree, so we can see that the nomadic high elves then went off to different worlds, and then the branches came off. So we've got what? Forgotten Realms here. And the wild elves came off, moon elves, gold elves, elves of the Great Sea, elves of the Sea of Fallen Stars, and the dark elves. So they split up after they arrived in the Forgotten Realms. So Dark Elves from a particular other world are completely different from the Dark Elves of the Forgotten Realms. Are the Dark Elves in any other ones? I don't see. We've got Sylvan Elves there, which are shared. So the Sylvan Elves, the Wild or Green Elves of the Forgotten Realms, are different from the Archmanisti, the Sylvan Elves of Dragonlance, having split off from the High Elves in the past. Although the Wild Elves end up having the same abilities as the ones in Dragonlance. Odd. Physical abilities, so we go through the differences. One of the things I found incredible was that the Wild Elves end up having a strength up to 19. So you get elves which are more muscly than humans, even though they're thin, slight creatures. I liked that idea. I wanted to create a sort of elf berserker at one point. It struck me as being very odd, but I never got around to playing it. We've got Elven Sight. They're infravision, so the aquatic elves can see 360 feet with aquatic vision sonar. The drow have 90 feet, all the others have 60 feet infravision. Their appearance of the different races. The Reverie, because they don't sleep, they just go into sort of dream state for a couple of hours each night. Resistant to heat and cold. Other elven abilities. We've got their aging. What they're like in childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age, and venerable age. We go through their infertility, their bond, their music, their outlook on life, what they consider individuals to be worth, what their attitudes are to other races. We're really going into a deep dive here on how elves should be role-played, which is a very, very interesting and nice thing. Elven holy days. Although why they would be the same between worlds, I don't know. Elven myths. The death of elves. Funeral ceremonies. Elven dwellings. Again, a very nice colour plate. Optional rules. They introduced the blade song here because elves are more graceful and they tend to dance in their fighting style. So blade singing is one of their abilities. They gain bonuses to hit. I don't believe there's bonuses to damage, but I could be wrong. We've got quick draw shots with bows, because obviously elves in 2nd edition got a bonus to hit with a bow. So stapling shot, trick shots, using bows as weapons, arrow breakage and loss. And then we've got the character creation and kits. So we go through, yet another lovely plate. We've got the stats. So we can see that Dark Elves can have a dexterity of 20, intelligence of 19, but their charisma can only be 16. What else is interesting? Grey Elves can have intelligence up to 20. High Elves can have a dex of 19, but are otherwise kind of rubbish. But the Sylvan Elves are the super cool ones, because although they lose a point of Constitution and Charisma, they gain Strength and Dexterity. So they can be uber combat monsters. We have the warrior kits, so Archer, Wilderness Runner, Wind Rider. Because the kits can be specialized to multi-classing in 2nd edition, where you can be several classes at once, we've got things like Mage Thief kits of Spell Filcher, the Fighter Mage of Blade Singer, War Wizard, Fighter Thief kits, which are Huntsman, Fighter Mage Thief of the Collector, and Infiltrator. So there's a lot of combinations, and then we've got generic kits here, so Undead Slayer, special types of elf equipment, elven plate, new elf spells, another nice colour plate, artificial limbs. And then we go into elven campaigns detailing how they fit into different worlds, how they interact. And we've got an appendice at the end, and then a couple of monster types, so the winged elf and the Kushi. Oh, you do. doggy, Akushi, and then specialist character sheet for Elves, which seems to be on quite a few pages. But those are the complete books. They really fleshed out second edition. They allowed you to customize your characters, but it mainly came kind of free. Because while classes tend to be balanced out a bit, then you could slap a kit on top of it and gain extra abilities beyond what your class can do. Which was very nice for the player. But as these books came out every few months, if you were playing a class where your splat book didn't come out, you know, the complete book of priests or whatever, didn't get released for a year, then everybody else was powering up their characters by choosing a kit, by saying, oh yes, well, my fighter was a wilderness warrior, so I gain bonus survival. But you gain nothing until your book comes out and you can choose a kit. It was a weird thing, but it was a nice addition to the game. It did allow a lot of customization, which otherwise second edition D&D didn't. Very nice additions. Anyway, very many thanks for watching, as always. Please like and subscribe if you like me wuttering on. I seem to have been talking for ages and ages, and my voice is starting to go once again. But, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye.